Karen from the HOA decided her responsibilities included checking every barbecue in the neighborhood and called 911 when she spotted me on my driveway. But little did she know, I wasn't just grilling meat for the neighbors. I was preparing something much more important than her usual complaints. When she decided to interfere, she had no idea her actions would attract the attention of far more influential people. This was just the beginning. It was a warm Saturday afternoon when I decided to host a BBQ in my driveway. I had been planning this event for weeks. It wasn't just any BBQ, but a catered lunch for the mayor and several local business owners. The sun was shining, the food was ready, and everything was set for an afternoon of networking and community building. Just as I was about to fire up the grill, I saw Karen, the HOA representative, staring at me from across the street. She marched over with that look I knew all too well.
"Neighbor,"
she called out, her voice laced with disapproval.
"you can't have a BBQ in your driveway. It's against HOA rules."
I raised my eyebrow, trying to stay calm. "Karen, this is a private event. I'm catering lunch for the mayor and some local business owners." Her eyes narrowed, clearly unimpressed.
"Catering lunch for the mayor? That doesn't change anything. I'm calling the authorities."
Before I could respond, she whipped out her phone and dialed 911. My jaw dropped. I had dealt with her before, but this was a new low. She was already on the phone, explaining to the dispatcher how I was violating HOA rules by hosting a barbecue. I shook my head in disbelief. "I'm catering for the mayor, Karen," I yelled. But she didn't listen. She was too busy making her case to the police. Moments later, a squad car pulled up to the curb. The officer stepped out, and I walked over to meet him. "Officer, I'm hosting a professional event here," I explained. "It's a catered lunch for the mayor. This is not just a regular barbecue." The officer turned to Karen.
"Is this true, ma'am?"
he asked. Karen scoffed.
"I don't care who she's catering for. She's breaking the rules, and I'm not going to let her get away with it."
The officer's tone shifted.
"Ma'am, I'm going to need you to step aside."
Karen didn't like that one bit, but she complied. The officer and I went over the situation in detail, and after a few minutes, he turned to Karen.
"This is not a violation of any laws. I'm going to have to ask you to leave the area."
Karen was stunned.
"What? You're not going to do anything?"
"No.
The officer replied firmly.
If you continue to cause trouble, I'll have to ask you to leave the premises entirely."
Fuming, Karen stomped back to her house, muttering under her breath. I turned back to the event, relieved that the issue was finally resolved. The mayor and other local officials arrived shortly after. The mood had lightened, and everyone was eager to begin.
"Thank you for hosting us,"
the mayor said as we shook hands.
"This is exactly the kind of event that brings the community together."
As the event went on, I received praise from several local business owners. Everyone was enjoying the food, the conversation, and the idea of fostering community bonds. Meanwhile, Karen was nowhere to be seen. It seemed like she had retreated into the shadows after her failed attempt to ruin the event. Later that afternoon, the mayor gave a short speech.
"I want to thank our host for this wonderful event. It's these kinds of efforts that make a community strong."
By the time the event wrapped up, I couldn't help but smile. Karen had tried to interfere, but in the end, it had only made her look ridiculous. The event had been a success, the mayor was pleased, and the community was stronger than ever. As I cleaned up, I felt a sense of accomplishment. Despite Karen's attempts to sabotage it, the event had gone off without a hitch, and I'd managed to stay calm and collected in the face of her unreasonable interference. In the end, she was the one who had lost, and I was the one who'd brought the community together.